Hey guys, so today I have 13 myths that you probably heard as a child that are all lies. I got all of my information from thoughtcatalog.com, which I will link in the description box below. And the original segment. The original segment was written by Nico Lang. I'm not going to sit here and act like I came up with all of these on my own. Whenever I get information from another website or person, I do try to make sure that they are recognized for it. Who was told this as a child? Because I know I was. But your stomach is engineered by decades of evolution to digest an astounding amount of things, which is why that you have a pool of acid sitting in there. It's true that gum isn't very easy for your stomach to digest, mainly because it's not food, but it's not going to stick around for 7 years. The gum will inevitably be digested and you will poop it right out. So this myth is a product of World War II propaganda when the British Army claimed that the reason their soldiers had such great night vision was because they ate their carrots. But the truth of the situation is that the fighter pilots had radars in their aircraft, which made the enemies easier to detect. It wasn't really the carrots. So the common perception is that toads' skin are covered in warts which emit bacteria that are communicable? I'm just going to put that word right here and you read it. But it's just their skin. Their skin's just like that. It's adapted to help the toad better blend into its environment to avoid predators, the slime and the warts. All that is just part of nature. It's not going to make you get warts yourself and become a toad. So despite the common belief, there's no correlation between cramping and eating. Our bodies are perfectly capable of simultaneously digesting while swimming. Now, you might get queasy if you overexert yourself too quickly, but that has nothing to do with the water and eating. So calories fuel our daily energy, and when a rush of calories is shipped to the bloodstream, you would think that we get like this hyper amount of energy. However, sugar metabolism works a little bit differently, as the bloodstream will first send those sugars to muscles and internal organs, then storing the rest for later. The idea for the myth is that those excess sugars have to be worked off. But that's not the way the body works. Now, if your child's eating chocolate, he could have too much caffeine, which will lead to hyperactivity. Now, if you apply logic to this statement, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because men shave their heads and their beards quite frequently. And it doesn't affect at all the density of their hair. Shaving can, however, stimulate hair growth where it didn't exist before, which is why you should be careful where you shave. You don't want to create a unibrow that wasn't there to begin with. Even though too much of anything isn't really good for you, science has yet to pin shortness on caffeine. The myth sounds logical. Human growth hormone, or HGH, is emitted during sleep, and which is a process that caffeine tends to impede. There's the train. Right there it is. Okay, I apologize for the train, but I am going to continue. Anyway, but no studies have ever actually proven this. The facts actually suggest the opposite. See, as people consume more caffeine annually, nowadays with soft drinks and energy drinks and Starbucks, the average height has actually increased. Between 1960 and 2002, the average American became 1.5 inches taller. So chocolate by itself is not a cause of acne. Those little demons are brought on by acne vulgaris, vulgaris is what I'm going to call it, which is a bacterial strain that infests in your pores and follicles when they become clogged with oils and dirt. These blemishes can be aggravated by foods that are high in dairy and sugar, though. So it's not necessarily the chocolate, it's the dairy. You can, however, stick to a low glycemic dark chocolate and be just fine. So this myth comes from the belief that the popping sound you hear is bones grinding against each other, but that's not the case. The noise comes from bubbles of air and gas bursting inside the joint. However, cracking one's knuckles can lead to other problems down the road, like a decrease in flexibility and ligament damage. Shit. Walking around with wet hair is unlikely to give you pneumonia. However, the chilly weather often dries out the nasal passages, which can make you a higher risk at cold catching. But you won't get a cold just from walking around with wet hair. Okay, so although it's always a good idea to keep covered during the winter so you're not exposed to the elements, this isn't quite true. In the 50s, the U.S. military conducted Arctic research experiments, where subjects were bundled up everywhere but up top, and those volunteers lost to 80% of their body heat through their heads. Afterwards, the Army manuals began dispelling the myth that you lose 40 to 45% of your body heat through your head. The brain does take a lot of energy to power, and when you're working or exercising, a temporary spike can cause you to lose 50% of your heat through your head, but only initially. After those rushes, the heat loss goes back down to around 7%. So, have you ever heard the phrase, feed a cold, starve a fever? The idea is that a lack of nutrients will flush the illness right out of your body. No. When you're sick, you still need to be eating a healthy number of meals with ample vitamins and nutrients, all of which will help your body fight off a cold. And lastly, watching TV will ruin your eyesight. That's what happened to me, right? Excessive television or screen staring can lead to eye strain. But it won't kill your eyes. It can, however, lead to headaches or fatigue, which is why you should take regular breaks from your screen. So there you guys go. There's all 13 myths that you probably most likely was told by your parents as a child that aren't really as true as you thought. Yes, I did use a bunch of pictures of Rena Kumra from Blue Exorcist to help me display my little mythology, whatever the hell this is. I'll be 24 this year, and yes, I'm still a huge anime freak. That's like in my blood. I was born that way. So I appreciate you sticking with it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys later.